Alright guys, what is up? So today I'm going to be basically teaching you how to fly the Mig-21. So the way you fly this thing is you take off and you fucking get shot down by a Phantom. No, but in all seriousness, this thing is actually, in my opinion, almost as good, if not equal to the Phantom. It doesn't get those 20G missiles, it doesn't get that ridiculous energy generation, and it doesn't get the flares. But to be completely honest, you don't really need all that. This thing can turn. It almost has the same energy generation as the Phantom, which is more than enough, really. You don't need much more. Really good in terms of agility. This thing's a lot lighter than a Phantom, so you can really throw this thing about. Almost pull Cobra maneuvers and shit like that. The missiles, flares basically mean that you can't really shoot at a Phantom beyond 1.5 kilometers range. I wouldn't recommend shooting a missile, beyond 2 kilometers range anyway. They're really easy to dodge. Really any missile, not just R60s, beyond 2 kilometers range anyway. Just now you have to be extra careful with Phantoms. That's about it, really. There's no other real competition recently. Since the Phantom update, Phantom E, it is actually the only competition I can actually see ever. So I don't really expect to fight anything else. So I'm not really going to talk about the other aircraft. If you guys do start seeing other aircraft a lot more frequently, I might make another video on this to tell you exactly how to deal with those guys. But Phantoms, really just position yourself in a way that they can't shoot their missiles at you. That's really what Rank 6 is all about anyway. So that's about it. Flares, doesn't really matter as long as you shoot them less than 1.5 kilometers away. Altitude wise, this thing's pretty good at altitude. Stay at altitude, hide there, vulture it, but other than that, I'm just going to go straight to the gameplay. Alright, so we're in on Baston, and straight away you can see the MiG-21 does actually, this Phantom isn't using an afterburner, but that Phantom is, and straight away you can see it doesn't quite match the acceleration of the Phantom, but if you keep looking at the distance that we're at from him, he's not exactly outrunning us. It's more of a slow walking us. So it's the Phantom does have better energy generation, at least flat out at sea level, than the MiG-21, but it's not actually to the point where it's, game breaking, as some people would like you to think. So I'm just gonna, this is sort of my climb thing, which is get up to just past 1,000 kilometers per hour, and then zoom climb up at about, not really zoom climb, but climb up at about 30 degrees. It means you can maintain some ground speed, and you can actually climb fairly quickly. So we're just going to climb up, and if you just look at the map there, our team looks like it's going mostly north. Alright, so if you look at that, generally the team on the left climbs to the north and the team on the south, or the east, climbs to the south. So we're just going to go around and hook around there and hopefully slide in on the tail of enemy aircraft. Basically it means that when we engage, we're going to be behind them, hopefully, if this goes to plan. Normally I climb to about 7,000 meters. 8,500 isn't that bad, it's not the end of the world. Alright, so we see a Phantom down there. Just gonna turn in and get on his 6. Our team does look like they are sort of around him, so if there are enemies, tailing behind him, and they do engage me, it should be fine, because we've got tons of teammates around him, so. And he seems to be going straight head on into the, not head on, but he seems to be going straight into the fight, flying straight over our airfield actually. Now I've got a track on this Phantom, but you can see that I'm not actually firing my missile. I'm actually waiting for that Phantom to fire his missile, the Phantom to turn, pop his flares, slow down, and as you can see that basically means that I've gotten a secured 100% kill. Basically, the reason behind that was if he popped his flares and then turned, he would be at a lower speed. So even if he popped his flares for a second time, he wouldn't actually be able to turn and pull as many Gs, basically guaranteeing that if I had waited, I would have gotten the kill, which is, exactly what happened. If I had fired the missile immediately, he would have popped his flares, turned, and the other Phantom would have gotten the kill. So, a bit of patience goes a long way. Alright, so we can see the furball straight down there. I don't really want to get stuck right in there because that generally means you drain your energy and you become a target for other aircraft. So I'm just going to slide in on this Phantom over here. And normally I wouldn't do this. Firing a missile at, plus 1,000 kilometers per hour. But because we are very close to the Phantom, it's basically a guaranteed kill. Reason for that is basically if you pull Gs, maximum number of Gs at higher speeds, you'll be pulling more Gs than you would be at lower speeds. Just watching the airspeed there so I don't rip my wings. Basically it means it's easier to evade missiles at higher speeds. Alright, so we're just sliding on this Phantom 6 here. And targeting him, getting a lock, and waiting for him to get into a good position. And as you can see, R60s really pulling as many Gs as they can. Now we're actually quite a low speed here, so I'm just going to turn as much as I can to prevent the Mig-21 from getting a lock on my 6. I'm just going to turn back. He's got quite a bit of airspeed, so even if I do get the missile lock, I don't think I'm really going to be able to get a kill on him. Now I'm at a very, very low speed, so if missiles do come in at my 6, I am probably not going to do a whole lot about it, and that's actually exactly what happens right here. The Phantom fires a 20G missile, and there I go. Alright, so I'm into my second game here. Really just continuing exactly the same things as I was doing in the previous game, which is really just taking off, climbing to about just past 1,000 kilometers per hour, and zoom climbing up at about 30 degrees until I reach a decent altitude. Following the usual climb path for Spain. If you don't know which way that is, well, it's either one of two. It's either straight over to the tanks and bunkers, or it's over to the center in between the two carriers, in between the two fleets. So I'm going to take the fleet climb path, and just climbing up to about 1,000 kilometers per hour here. And I guess we'll just skip ahead to once it gets interesting. Alright, so I'm back here at Spain at 9.4 kilometers altitude, and going quite slow actually, and so yeah, just see a Phantom FGR2 on my 6. At altitude, the Phantom doesn't actually have enough, there's not enough air at this altitude for him to be able to turn effectively. Mig-21 doesn't really care, it just turns anyway because it has a delta wing. So, guy had too much speed, so he just overshot. I'm still gonna see if I can get a lucky hit. The FGR2 does also have flares like the E Phantom and the J Phantom. Speaking of EJ Phantom, there's one right in my 6. Now, the problem with the Phantom is it generates massive amounts of energy. And so we use that and reversal. And should line up a missile. And at short range, doesn't matter if he had flares or not, he didn't use them, but wouldn't have done anything, and that secures the first kill of the game. Alright, so just gonna fly in a straight line here to gain up some speed. Being low energy is not really a good thing. So, see a MiG-21 over here on my teammate 6. It's an SMT, so I mean this MiG-21 is spaded, my 21MF. So basically 100% guaranteed chance that I can outturn this guy. And he just turns around, and I think he's tunnel visioned quite a bit on this Phantom just ahead of us. I just fire a missile off, hoping that hits, but he actually does evade that. He evades 2 missiles at once, which is quite impressive. So I just lock up a second missile and just fire that off, and that actually does get contact, and it's a second kill. So I'm just going to quickly dive down to the deck here. Normally, in most normal games, I guess I would going with the guns, even once I've run out of missiles. But this isn't really... I mean, I guess I've spent missiles a little bit faster than I'd expect, so... the game is not quite over yet, and there's quite a few targets out there. So I would rather not engage without missiles. So I'm just going to go in for a quick landing and, you know, going in from 1300 kilometers per hour, pop the air brakes, turn the engine off, and just do a little corkscrew, and bam, that's, what, 700 kilometers per hour lost in about 2 seconds. Yeah, Mig-21 was really good at that. Fast landings, definitely something it does very well. Just burning off as much speed as I can there. Actually only activating the flaps once I'm pretty low on the ground already. Basically that means you lose speed at a similar rate to the flaps deploying, so you don't actually fly upwards, directly upwards, when you're trying to land, which can be pretty frustrating. Alright, and that's a pretty fast landing. Just gonna skip ahead to once we're in the air. Alright, so we're back and up in the air now, over from the airfield, and teammates decided to activate Blind Hunt. So last guy is a Phantom 4C. This is actually the last guy in the enemy team, so everybody's going to be diving in on his 6. It looks like he's doing the whole runaway warrior strat, so he's going to be, most likely he's probably seen that there's a teammate on the airfield, and he's just going to dive in after that kill. So we're just going to converge on where I think he's going to be. Yeah, he's going for the FGR2, so we're just going to slide in on his 6, spool up the missiles, and hopefully get the kill. Now, I've actually, in this engagement right here, I feel as if I definitely made quite a few mistakes with missiles. Yeah, right there. Missile over-reliance is definitely a bit of a problem at 10.3. You need to sort of be able to figure out when to use your guns and when not to. And in this engagement, I'm far too close for missiles to be effective throughout this entire engagement. And so, yeah, I waste 2 solid missiles there before figuring out, oh yeah, I have guns. And yeah, there we go. That secures the 3rd and final kill of the game. Definitely something to keep in mind is when you're at 10.0 that you do actually have guns. I mean, if you're flying a stock Mig-21, then, you know, good luck. But missiles are not the only weapon you have, so, you know, knowing when to use what weapon is definitely something very very important at 10.3. Would highly recommend that, that you figure out how to. So yeah, that's really it for today. If you enjoyed, smash that motherfucking like button, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right?